Hi, welcome back to MTG. I'm Ken,
And I'm Ashley.
and welcome back to another Good Clean Commander game. Ash, do you want to tell a little bit about who's playing and what they're playing today?
Yeah, so it was really funny when we first started playing this. I don't know, it was like God knows how long ago at this point because so many new sets dropping. But I think it was like shortly after Lord of the Rings and like right when Commander Masters had dropped. So we got some cards for us at the time that were new to,
Right.
us. But it's really fun because I also botched the pronunciation. Is it Bilbo?
It is it's Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. And I think I kept calling it Biblio or something like that. Like
Biblo.
Biblioteca, like back in like Spanish 101. But like Olivia, my partner, who like helps me edit and adds like all the cool animations, she was like, "You said it wrong the entire video." And she's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So I hope it doesn't irritate y'all as much as it did
Yeah, Bilbo. Yeah.
Biblioteca.
No.
Bilbo? Is it? I don't even remember. Bilbo?
Bilbo, yes.
I think he even told me before I read the script. Ken was
I
like,
did.
Ashley, this is how you pronounce the card. And
I
I
thought you were being
still
like
fucked
cute with it and like
myself.
be like making a meme or something, calling it Biblo. I'm like, okay, maybe it's.
It was so bad. But yeah, so if
So
y'all can,
spoiler alert: somebody is playing Bilbo Baggins.
overlook that, enjoy
Yeah.
the game. I don't know.
Yes. But also we're being joined by Aaron, Natasha. You've seen them. You love them. They're great people to have on. So
Yeah, some good
enjoy the
buddies.
game and enjoy the voiceover.
Yeah. With no further ado, let's have a good
Playing game.
game. Aaron is playing Biblo Birthday Celebrant. This life gain deck wants to get Aaron's life total to a total of 111 so that he can activate Biblo's ability to close out the game. To help with this, Aaron has some stompy friends from the Lord of the Rings set and some cool counter synergies. And in his starting hand, he has a Toxic Deluge, Soul's Attendant, Fortified Village, Guillaume Master Chef, Shine Shadow Snarl, Necro Blossom Snarl, and Dawn of Hope. I'm playing Zhulodok Void Gorger. This deck wants me to ramp quickly to cast my commander and cascade into major threats like Portal to Phyrexia or Ulamog's Ceaseless Hunger. And in my starting hand I have Waste, Arc of Orizaka, Abstruse Archaic, Tyrite Sanctum, Mycosynth Garden, Ulamog's Ceaseless Hunger, and a Matter Reshaper. Natasha is playing one of her favorite commanders, Savra, Queen of the Golgari. This deck is all about sacrificing her own creatures to gain value from death triggers and drain out the board. And in her starting hand, Natasha has a Forest, Blooming Marsh, Carrion Feeder, Caustic Caterpillar, Sakura Tribe Elder, Dread Returned, and Yawgmoth Thran Position. Ken is playing Rocco Street Chef. This deck is focused on creating food tokens and generating value from them. Ken is also hoping to lean into Rocco's Group Hug ability so that his opponents cast spell from exile and he can reap in all the profit. And in his starting hand, he has Sam, Loyal Attendant, Brea's Apprentice, Jessica's Will, Ren's Rebuke, Cinderglade, The Plains, and Spine Rock Knoll. Aaron starts off the game by playing a tapped Shine Shadow Snarl and passes to me. I draw for turn and play a Waste and pass to Natasha. Natasha draws for turn and plays an untapped Blooming Marsh. She then pays 1 for a Caustic Caterpillar and passes to Ken. Ken draws and plays a tapped Spine Rock Knoll, and on its ETB, he hides away for 4. Choosing 1 card to exile underneath Spine Rock, he puts the rest on the bottom of his library in a random order. Ken then passes the turn to Aaron. Aaron untaps and draws for turn. He then plays a Fortified Village and reveals a plane so that it enters in untapped. Aaron then casts a Soul's Attendant, which allows him to gain 1 life whenever a creature enters the battlefield. Second main phase, Aaron cycles his Ash Baron to search for a forest. He then passes the turn to me. I draw for turn and play an Arch of Orizaka. I then pass to Natasha. Natasha untaps, draws, and plays a forest as land for turn. She then pays 2 for Sakura Tribe Elder. On ETB, Aaron gains a life from his Soul's Attendant. Natasha then passes the turn. Ken untaps, draws, and plays an Arid Mesa. Paying 1 life, he sacks it to search for a Jetmir's Garden. With that, he passes the turn to Aaron. Aaron untaps, draws, and plays a Necro Blossom Snarl, revealing the forest he fetched from Cycling Ash Baron. He then follows that up by casting his commander, Bilbo, Birthday Celebrant. We all welcome Bilbo with a B-Day-san as Aaron passes the turn to me. I draw for turn and play a Mycosynth Gardens. I then follow it up by playing a Matter Reshaper, which triggers Aaron's Soul Attendant. Since Bilbo is out, Aaron gains 2 life instead of 1. Having no other plays, I pass the turn to Natasha. On my end step, Natasha sacks her Savra Tribe Elder to fetch up a swamp which enters the battlefield tapped. Moving to her turn, Natasha untaps, draws, and pays 4 to get her commander, Savra, Queen of the Golgari, onto the battlefield. All tapped out, she passes to Ken. Ken untaps, draws, and plays a Plains. He then pays 3 for Sam, Loyal Attendant. Aaron gains another 2 life, and Ken moves to combat, where he makes a food token. Unable to swing Sam due to the summoning sickness, he passes the turn to Aaron. Aaron untaps, draws, and plays a Plains as land for turn. He then pays 2 for a Dawn of Hope, which lets him draw a card when he gains life if he pays 2 mana. Leaving 2 mana up, Aaron then passes to me. I untap, draw, and play a Scavenger Grounds. I then pay 4 for an Abstruse Archaic, which allows me to copy target activated or triggered ability I control from a colorless source if I pay 1. Moving to combat, I swing my Matter Reshaper at Aaron. Aaron declares no blocks and takes the 3 damage. I then pass to Natasha. Natasha untaps, draws, and pays 3 for a Woestrider. On ETB, Woestrider makes a goat token, which will gain Aaron 4 life. She follows it up by paying 1 for a Carrion Feeder. Unable to safely punch through the lines, she passes to Ken. Ken untaps, draws, and plays a Command Tower. He then pays 3 for his commander, Rocco, Street Chef. Deciding not to swing during combat either, Ken makes a food token from Sam's trigger and passes the turn. On Ken's end step, Rocco triggers and we all exile the top card of our library, and we can cast it until Rocco exiles another card at Ken's next end step. Aaron exiles an Essence Warden, I exile an Unstable Obelisk, Natasha exiles Grist the Hunger Tide, and Ken exiles Showdown of the Scalds. Aaron untaps and draws. He then plays a forest and casts Treebeard Gracious Host. On ETB, they create 2 food tokens. Whenever Aaron gains life, he may put that many counters on target halfling or treefolk. When Treebeard ETBs, Aaron gains 2 life from Soul's Attendant and Bilbo's ability, which allows him to put 2 counters on Bilbo, making them a 4/5. He then follows that up by casting the Essence Warden from exile, which triggers Rocco. Ken makes a food token and puts a counter on Sam. Aaron also has a trigger and gains another 2 life. Editor's note here, Aaron thought he gained 4 life, but it was actually 2 because Essence Warden does not include itself on ETB. Aaron decides to put the 4 counters on Treebeard. Moving to combat, Aaron swings Bilbo at me for 4 damage. I declare no blocks and take the 4. Having no other plays, he passes the turn to me. I untap, draw, and play a Tyrite Sanctum. Feeding the Rocco fish as well, I pay 3 to cast my Unstable Obelisk in exile. Rocco triggers and Ken makes another food token and puts a counter on Sam. I then pass to Natasha. Natasha untaps, draws, and sadly misses another land drop. Also wanting to feed the Rocco triggers, Natasha casts Grist from exile. Ken makes another food token, and this time places the counter on Rocco. Natasha then upticks Grist to 4 loyalty counters to make an insect token and mills a card. She mills a Liliana's Death Majesty. When the insect ETBs, Aaron gains 4 life thanks to the Soul's Attendant and Essence Warden. He then puts 4 counters on Bilbo, making them a 6/7. Natasha then sacks her insect to Woestrider to scry 1, and Savra triggers, and Natasha gains 2 life. She chooses not to have everyone else sacrifice a creature. She then decides to leave the scryed card on top and passes the turn. At Natasha's end step, Ken only has to pay 1 to crack a food token thanks to Sam Loyal Attendant's ability to gain 3 life and goes to a total of 42. Ken untaps, draws, and plays a tapped Cinderglade. He then pays 4 for Eleanor Gardner, which makes a food token on ETB. Moving to combat, Ken makes another food token but chooses not to attack. At end step, we all exile the top card of our library for Rocco's trigger. Aaron exiles Dina's Soul Steeper, I exile a Reliquary Tower, Natasha exiles Westvale Abbey, and Ken exiles a Canopy Vista. Aaron untaps, draws, and plays a tapped Scatter Groves. He then casts Dina from exile, which triggers Rocco. Ken makes a food token and puts a counter on Sam Loyal Attendant. When Dina ETBs, Aaron gains 4 life from the Soul's Attendant and Essence Warden. Treebeard gets 4 +1/+1 counters on them, making them a 12-17. Since Aaron had 2 separate instances from life gain, we each lose 2 life from Dina's trigger. Moving to combat, Aaron swings Treebeard at Natasha for 12 trampling damage, and Bilbo at me. I block with my Matter Reshaper, and when it dies, I reveal the top card of my library. If its mana value is 3 or less, I can put it onto the battlefield. I reveal an Endless Atlas, and since it's 2 CMC, I put it onto the battlefield. Realizing I forgot to activate the Abstruse Archaic to copy Matter Shaper's ability, I ask the table if it's okay if I can do it, and everyone says, go for it. Paying 1, I then tap Abstruse and reveal another card. It's Perilous Vault, and I put it to hand. Going to Natasha, she declares no blocks against the Mighty Treebeard because it has Trample and takes 12. Second main phase, Aaron casts Cultivate and grabs a basic swamp and forest. He puts the swamp into play and a forest to hand. He then passes the turn to me. I untap, draw, and play the Reliquary Tower from exile, triggering Rocco. Ken goes to 7 food tokens and puts a +1 counter on Eleanor. I then pay 6 to cast my commander Zhulodok, Void Gorger. On ETB, Aaron gains 4 life, going to 78 total life heckin' points from my creature entering the battlefield, and we each lose 2 life from Dina's trigger. Treebeard gets another 4 counters, becoming a 16-18. Having no other plays, I pass the turn. Natasha untaps, draws, and plays her Westvale Abbey from exile. Ken goes to 8 food and puts a counter on Rocco. Natasha then pays 4 for an Erebos, God of the Dead. This prevents her opponents from gaining life, and we all hope that slows Aaron down for a turn. Natasha then activates Grist's -2 ability and sacrifices a goat and hopes to destroy Treebeard. It has Ward 2, which she sadly can't pay, and decides to target Dina instead. Having no response, Dina is destroyed. She then passes the turn to Ken. Ken untaps and plays a tapped Canopy Vista from exile. Rocco triggers, and Ken goes to 9 food tokens and puts a counter on Sam. Ken then pays 3 for a Brea's Apprentice. On ETB, this creates a Thopter token. While Ken is looking for his tokens, Aaron asks if Erebos is a creature, and Natasha says yes because her devotion to black is greater than 5. Going to combat, Ken swings Rocco, who is now a 4-6, Sam, who is a 6-8, and Eleanor, who is a 3-5, at Aaron for a total of 13 damage. Aaron declares no blocks and takes the damage, going to 65 from his cushy life total of 78. Ken realizes he forgot to make his food token from Sam's combat phase and goes to 10 total food tokens. He then pays 1 to activate the card he had exiled under Spine Rock Knoll. It's a Delayed Blast Fireball. Since it was cast from exile, this deals 5 damage to each of his opponent's creatures and 5 damage to each opponent. While this is on the stack, Aaron casts Deadly Relic, exiling Erebos. Natasha has no response, and Erebos is exiled. Fire Blast then resolves. Aaron loses Essence Warden and Soul's Attendant. My commander and Abstruse Archaic dies. Sadness fills my heart as my spicy plans for my turn have been bamboozled, and I return my commander to the command zone. Natasha sacks her Caterpillar to gain 2 life using Woe Strider's ability. Scrying 1, she leaves that card on top and sacrifices the rest of her board to Woestrider. She then gains another 2 life after sacking Savra and goes to a total of 30. Then we all take our 5 damage. Aaron goes to 60, I go to 32, and Natasha goes to 25 life. Rocco also triggered on this cast because it was cast from exile, and Ken puts a counter on Brea's Apprentice and goes to 11 food tokens. Ken then moves to end step, and we all exile cards for Rocco's ability. Aaron exiles a Timna the Weaver, I exile Seagate Wreckage, Natasha exiles a Phyrexian Tower, and Ken exiles Boros Garrison. Then Aaron moves to his turn and untaps and draws, and then plays a Forest. Paying 2, he casts a Prosperous Innkeeper, which gains him life when a creature he controls ETBs. When Prosperous Innkeeper ETBs, he creates a treasure token. Aaron then pays 3 for Timna the Weaver from exile. Aaron gains 2 life, and Treebeard gets 2 more counters, becoming an 18/20 Trampler. This also triggers Rocco, and Ken puts a counter on his Thopter token. Paying 3, Aaron casts Crypt Incursion, targeting Natasha. This exiles the creatures from her graveyard, and then Aaron will gain 3 life for each creature he has exiled. Aaron gains a total of 13 life because Natasha had 4 creatures, and Bilbo adds an additional life to the life that he gains. So this allows Treebeard to put 13 more counters on a creature he controls, and this is where Aaron thought he could divide up the counters and put them on different creatures. He puts 5 on his commander, 6 on Treebeard, and 2 on Prosperous. Treebeard is now a spoopy 24/26, Bilbo is an 18/19, and Prosperous Innkeeper is a 3/3. Going to combat, Aaron swings Treebeard at Natasha and Bilbo at me. Unable to block, I take 18 going to 9 life and a total of 20 commander damage. Editor's note here again, Aaron declared 25 damage being swung at Natasha, and so we thought she was knocked out. I may have missed a counter trigger here when I was doing the edits, but I believe it was actually 24 damage that was going at her. Overall, I didn't think this really changes the outcome of the game, so I hope you continue to enjoy it. So continuing on, in the post-combat main phase, Timna triggers, and Aaron can pay X life, where X is the combat damage dealt to opponents. Aaron decides to pay 2 life and draws 2 cards. He then passes the turn to me. I untap, draw, and play a Waste as land for turn. Tapping out, I attempt to recast my commander and pass the turn. Ken untaps, draws, and then he pays 3 for Jessica's Will, targeting me because I have 7 cards in hand. Because Ken controls his commander, he gets both modes and is able to exile the top 3 cards of his library and creates 7 floating red mana. He exiles a Damning Verdict, Peregrine Took, and an Augur of Autumn. Damning Verdict has little impact on Aaron's board because he's counter rich, so Ken laughs and decides to use the 3 floating red mana and taps a land to cast Helana and Alina Partners. Ken then pays 7 to cast Atali Primal Conqueror. On ETB, each player exiles a card until they exile a non-land card from their library, and Ken may cast it without paying its mana cost. Aaron exiles Suture Priest, I exile Mirage Mirror, and Ken exiles Dance with Calamity. Ken casts Suture Priest and Mirage Mirror. He then uses the clue tokens on the board there to represent these things he stole from us. An editor's note, Aaron thought he gained life from the Suture Priest entering from the Prosperous Innkeeper, but that is only when creatures he controls enters the battlefield. During this trigger, because of this, Aaron puts 2 counters on Prosperous Innkeeper, making them a 5/5. Rocco's ability triggers, and Ken goes to 14 food tokens and puts 2 counters on Helana and Alina. He then decides to cast Dance with Calamity. After shuffling, he can exile cards until he hits 13 or less and cast those cards for free. If he goes over 13, he can't cast any of the spells that he revealed. So, Ken shuffles his library and reveals a Rockfall Veil. He then exiles Dusk Legion Duelist, hits another land, a Master Chef, and at 5 now for a total CMC cost from the spells revealed, he keeps going, hoping to get more stonksy ways to deal with Aaron's board. He then hits a Seize the Spoils, going to 7 CMC, and stops at Kodama for a total of 10 CMC. He then casts Dusk Legion Duelist, Master Chef, and Kodama. Rocco gets 3 triggers from these casts, and Ken puts all 3 counters on Helena and Alina partners. Suture Priest will also trigger when the 2 creatures enter the battlefield, and Ken gains 2 life. Master Chef enters first, so that Duelist and Kodama enter with a +1/+1 counter from its trigger. Moving to combat, Ken forgets Helena and Alina's triggers, sadly, along with Sam's to make another food token, and to probably make one of his creatures heckin' buff as heck. But anyways, he passes to Aaron, where at end step, we all exile a card. You know the drill at this point. Aaron exiles an Anguish Unmaking, and since I didn't play it, my Seagate Wreckage is permanently exiled, and then I exile a Waste. Ken exiles a Fabled Passage. From there, Aaron starts his turn, untaps, draws, and plays a Forest as land for turn. He then pays 3 to cast Toxic Deluge, paying 10 life to give all of his creatures -8/-8 until end of turn. Having no response, it resolves, and all creatures are wiped except for Prosperous, which Aaron thought was a 9/9, Biblo, and Treebeard. He then follows that up by paying 4 for Guillaume, Master Chef. On ETB, this does trigger your Prosperous Innkeeper, and Aaron gains 2 life. He puts one of those counters on Prosper, and the other on Treebeard. Then moving to combat, Aaron swings Treebeard and his commander at Ken for 42 and Prosperous at me. Neither of us have a response and are knocked out. GG's all. Alright. Well, I pretty much felt like I did nothing. I cast my commander twice that game. How did you feel?
If I had one more turn, which I feel like is a cliche, everyone says if I only had one more turn, but no, we got absolutely decimated
by a giant broccoli, aka Treebeard.
Yes.
Which?
Yes.
Do you want to announce the MVP?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Treebeard.
Yeah. I guess
let's not beat around the bush.
Didn't set you up for that one, well, did I? I just said the answer and then asked you to announce it.
Yeah, it's Treebeard. It I think single-handedly annihilated all of us, but also Biblo too.
Oh, I am
Did its
curious. Do you have Reckless Fireweaver in your Rocco deck? Because you were making hella food tokens.
I don't. I did, I think, and I wanted to I was like, okay, what can I do otherwise that's like a little more impactful, actually? So obviously, spoiler alert, this intro outro was filmed far past when we played the game, and
don't tell him.
Doctor Who's been out now for a little while, and Displaced Dinosaurs has slotted itself beautifully into that deck, because now every food I make is a 7/7 dinosaur.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm excited. We'll have to do a revenge or a redemption game and see that in action.
Yes, absolutely. But I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, let us know. Leave a comment. Let Ash know how to phonetically say the word Bilbo Baggins.
I won't.
Or don't.
I won't remember. You can spell it out in the comments, and I'll still go back and reread this, and it will all be wrong again.
It's just kinetically or canonically is now named Biblo Baggins, which honestly I'm not mad at.
If Olive will talk to me ever again.
Yeah. On that note, we'll let you go because you need to go mend your relationship.
Anyways, thanks for watching. Please drop a like if you're still here, and I hope you all have a good one because you're beautiful. Yeah, we compliment you on your way out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here now.
Get out of here.
Bye.
Bye.